While we're all busy in everything we're doing, a certain gentleman called Ruben Amorim, yes, rode into town like the newest sports, I don't know, world sheriff. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. Is he here to keep the peace, or will he, surprise us one or the other? Let's break it down.
No, he's not here to keep the peace. Look, all the managers that have preceded his arrival, between when Alex Ferguson left in 2013 and today, which is 11 years, have come in there, have been given a bit of a grace period, but eventually what Man United is about has dawned on them. Some of them, it has hit them pretty hard, especially the last one, Eric Ten Hag, because some of the signings he was making made you wonder if you actually realized how big the task at hand was, what kind of competition was going to face, and the kind of the quality that he needed to be able to match that competition. I'm talking Man City at home and then European competition abroad, because Man City are the best in there. So Ruben Amorim cannot be under any illusions. He's not coming in there. They might love him now. They're receiving him at Old Trafford. The players are hugging him. The fans are asking for autographs and everything. But he's probably going to get less time than the guys before him. The guys before him have averaged 2.5 years, 3. I'm talking Van Gaal, I'm talking Ole, I'm talking Mourinho, I'm talking ETH, Ten Hag. And it might be less for him because the pressure is only growing. And so he needs to hit the ground running. Look, he needs to come in there and prove and get United as quickly as possible to start playing the way Sporting were. Because we know that the pieces are in place. We know that people need time. The reality on the ground is that they're not going to give it. Mark knows. Unlike him, I've always argued for these guys to get time. Mark doesn't have my patience where United managers are concerned. But I know that it's not going to be accorded because most people are thinking like Mark, not like me. And so I'm saying, Ruben, come in there, sort that team out. And this is a person who's everything about his history suggests that he's even going to change his playing style, the system. The system to start with. If you're taking United from the back four that everybody is used to in a 4-4-2 or in a 4-3-3 and playing 3 at the back, you have got to make that work very quickly. And people, the right pieces have got to come in there. And then they've got to start playing well, attacking, scoring goals, getting the fans on their side and the guys in the studios, because that's where the opinions are formed in England, and that's where the bandwagon everybody jumps onto. And then after that, then everybody will back him in his first transfer window. Only what he does between now and his first transfer window will accord him the grace, the goodwill to get the money, say, to break the bank for Victor Gyökeres or Victor Osimhen, whatever. Only if he gets this right quickly.
The Manchester United, which was coached by Sam Busby and Alex Ferguson, is long gone, and the game has changed. United has built its tradition on giving coaches a lot of time, giving them.
I've always told you that, and you didn't seem to listen.
Sam Busby had, I think, 2.5 decades at the club. Alex Ferguson had about, I don't know how many, almost 3 decades at the club.
The club the longest.
It has got new ownership. It has got a new culture, new management, new ownership, and everything. We live in an age where the club is so huge, it's such a global behemoth that results are very, very important. You're not going to get a United which is going to go, I don't know how many, 10 trophyless years because they're trying to build and they're trying to be patient. That era is long gone. Even clubs like Barcelona have always been famed for patience. You know, they gave time to Johan Cruyff, they gave time to Louis van Gaal. But right now, even Xavi, a legend, he's just been given 1 season and then he's booted out. You saw Ronald Koeman, another legend was there. After 1 season, he's booted out. Because the reality is that the game has changed, and the expectations today are such that these clubs, which were famed for patience, are not going to give you all the time. So for Ruben Amorim, I think one is going to be given time for the simple reason that Ten Hag actually put the Ineos team in a very, very tight position by winning the FA Cup. The paperwork was signed, was going to be fired after the Man City game if City had won the FA Cup final. When he won the title, it put them in a very, very difficult position, especially after the backlash that the club suffered when Louis van Gaal was fired in the immediate aftermath of the FA Cup final victory over Crystal Palace. So they were in a very tight spot, and that's why they decided to reluctantly increase his deal and then give him a war chest to go on and buy all the players he did. I think Amorim is going to get the time because they've scouted him for a very long time. He was actually one of the guys who was standard out in the summer before, along with Thomas Tuchel, before they gave the extension to Ten Hag. I think he's going to be given all the support he needs. I thought the ideal time for him to take over the club would have been at the end of the season, but I'll argue that right now he's taking over the club in November when United have had all these problems. So he won't have the expectations to put in any shift this season. He's obviously going to try to get to the grips with the players he has at his disposal, as his scouting network, which is quite a robust one, singles out the kind of players he wants, together with Dana Schwartz and Jason Wilcox. So I think he has the time to fit into the club and see what exactly he has at his disposal in terms of the playing staff, who fits into his philosophy, who is going to be sold, if not in Jan, in the summer, trim the squad, make it leaner, and then pursue the kind of players who are going to...
needs here. But listen, you're talking about him being given time. One of the things, of course, that's going to happen with him, and the international break might have helped forget a little bit, but as soon as they're back into the Premiership, everybody will remember, is that actually the interim manager just before him, Ruud van Nistelrooy, did really well. Played 4 games, went unbeaten. Of course, the fixtures favoured him, but nobody want to listen to the fact that in there, of his 3 wins, 2 were against Leicester, and Leicester not exactly Man City or Arsenal. There was the draw against Chelsea, which was not a bad result. It was impressive, and then a win in Europe, which was rare, which under ETH had become rare, against POK from Greece. But that means that he comes in there with people believing actually that this team can produce more than it was doing under ETH, especially in his last days, because it has under Ruud van Nistelrooy. So he has to come in there and start to work immediately. One of the things that has worked for him, of course, is that he came in during the international break and has had a week to acclimatize with environment and everything, to make friends with players who had not gone to international duty, and there were many, the Kobe Miners and Mason Mounts and all, guys who are potentially internationals but who are not, either because of injury or form, had been dropped by their countries. So he worked with those, but also...
Mason Mount is not international. Kobe Mino is.
Well, he has played for England before.
but anyway... Anyone can play for England.
Yeah, but the thing is, one of the things that the other thing that has worked for him, apart from the time of settling in, is somehow United players have timed this as their return from injury. And Ten Hag had quite a list. If you see that Luke Shaw should be chomping at the bit to play, and Talia Malacia is running up and down on the pitch. Lenny Yoro wants to play. I've just talked about Mount, but Mainu and most of the guys who are not available for ETH in his last days are going to be available.
And it also helps that he's playing Ipswich. He has on paper the ideal game for...
But the pressure is going to be on. Actually, Mark, I have a big suspicion, and look away if you're United diehard right now, that United might not win that game. Ipswich have been scoring goals. They have been resilient. They've not been winning games, and yet in almost each one of those games they've scored. I've thought that they've been unlucky.
They beat Spurs in their last game.
Oh, the last one, yeah. They work hard. They run their socks off. They play the old-fashioned.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it in the predictions.
And Amorim had bet it might be a baptism of fire. Not against a big side, but against a potential banana skin.
No, United will
guys,
never mind.
United will take care of it.
All right. Now, talking European football, first off, you're going to look at CR7, that's Cristiano Ronaldo. Still unstoppable, guys. Guy, like, he's aging like fine wine, you know. And now my only question is he going to, keep playing on until they rename the Ballon d'Or after him, or what? I'm trying to understand this.
Now, listen, this is not Mark's favorite subject, of course. He and I are on totally different sides of the Ronaldo fence. And we've had so many fights in other forums. But the thing is that, it's amazing how the guy has kept himself in shape. And after the anticlimax that was the World Cup for him in Qatar, Portugal getting knocked out the way they were, and then his arch nemesis, Lionel Messi, actually winning it, it looked like it was over internationally for Cristiano. And because he had moved to the Saudi Pro League, it looked like it was basically over. He was going to become irrelevant in that league, and if not playing for Portugal anymore, would disappear off the scene. But this guy's character has been such that he's been defiant throughout his entire career. And at that moment, because I remember very well, Mark actually wrote on our forum, on one of our forums, and said this guy should retire right now. He's embarrassing himself and everybody else and things like that. And so many other guys shared that view, and I could understand still where they're coming from. But I am such a Ronaldo fan that I wasn't buying into it. But even I didn't think that he would look this good 2 years later, 2 years after that World Cup. But he's been scoring goals in this Nations League campaign. The brace he got against Poland in midweek was last week was absolutely amazing. The penalty was a Panenka, and the other goal was just superb. It was one of those to be talked about. But the shape he's in is really good. The numbers are staggering. That was goal number 135, taken in spectacular style in 217 games for Portugal. And it takes him to 905. This is a guy who's now chasing a total of 1,000. He's already the highest scorer in the history of football, and he's looking to cement that. The thing is, we have got to celebrate that. We've got to celebrate that and what it means. It's just mind-boggling that anybody can be like that.
Listen,
like Cristiano Ronaldo has been.
I've been accused of being an enemy of Cristiano Ronaldo.
You are.
I've met Cristiano thrice, and I have pictures of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes, he was once your guy.
And I mean, I have nothing against Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he has a Hall of Fame career. If there's anything like that in football, he's one of the legends of the game, one of the top 10 greatest players of all time, potentially the greatest goal scorer there's ever been. But the fact of the matter is that Ronaldo, I think, is doing a huge disservice to Roberto Martinez and Portugal, because everything Cristiano Ronaldo is doing right now is for himself. It's for his legacy. And I think his legacy is etched in stone. He's just trying to score as many goals, to break records and extend his career, but for himself. It's not for Portugal. He's doing Portugal a huge disservice, and Martinez is such a timid manager that the coach of Portugal is Cristiano Ronaldo. When Fernando Santos, the Portuguese coach at the World Cup, dropped Ronaldo, he was dropped as Portugal coach, and this is a guy who won Portugal, I think, their first European Championship in history. You could argue Ronaldo was an integral part of that team, but Fernando Santos was the coach. And when he dropped him in the World Cup, he was booted out of the job. Yet I thought that Ronaldo was dropped purely for footballing reasons. I think Portugal were always going to win their UEFA Nations League games, whether Ronaldo was on the pitch or not. Those are not games where Rafael Leao was going to fail to score goals, or Goncalo Ramos, or whoever. The challenge with Martinez, and I think Ronaldo at the back of his head, he thinks that he's going to go to the 2026 World Cup in the US and will be leading the Portuguese line at the World Cup.
Wow.
Now, if that is not being, I don't know which one to use, but Portugal's chances are going to be diminished by Ronaldo.
You're basically back is saying Ronaldo is being selfish. Which I can't argue against. He has always been.
Listen, Mark.
That's the word to use.
I think. I mean, when did Zidane retired? Zidane. Arguably France's greatest player of all time. Zidane was still fit. He was at the peak of his powers. After the World Cup final, he said, "I've done and I've retired." Footballers are made of a different ilk, and Ronaldo has this obsession for records, for stats, to push himself as long as he can go, and that's a testament to his fitness, to his single-mindedness. But right now, at the stage of his career, I don't think Ronaldo can enhance his legacy. He can only diminish it.
No, yeah, well, you might say he can't enhance it, but actually, if he hits 1,000, he would have enhanced it. The thing is, though, I think he might not even hit 1,000 because he's got 90 odd goals to score. That's another 3-4 years of playing football. And unless he's going to get 50 odd this season, when he's in peak shape, which I don't see. The thing though is that what I see is rather than then send him away the way Mark is saying and say retire and get away and let's move on, the best thing to do under the circumstances, because he's saying when you talk about legacy, there's still the odd chance that he could go to 2026 World Cup and
But
win it.
we saw him at the Euros.
What-
What was his contribution at the Euros?
What you
What
have to
was
do?
his contribution at the Euros?
No, listen.
Because the UEFA Nations League, I mean, you're going to get anyone and you're going to score.
You
goals.
can have a bad tournament, even at a young age. Kylian
Yes.
Mbappe has already won a World Cup, being one of the best players in it in Russia, and then had a terrible one.
Which terrible one? He had a good tournament in Qatar.
Well, he had a good tournament in Qatar, then had a terrible Euros. He was really. I mean, he's one of the reasons France.
But no one's going to question why
He was so bad at the
No,
Euros.
no,
In between, by the way, both Euros, he was so bad and won World Cup and reached the final. But never mind.
I actually think
My
that
argument is-
minus Ronaldo, I think Portugal were going to go very far in the Euros. Particularly in the final.
I don't think so. I think the situation was mismanaged, and which is why I was going to go here and say, listen, if you're manager, if you're in charge of Portugal, and Ronaldo still can give you something.
Ronaldo is in charge. Martinez is not in charge of Portugal.
But so is Messi, and you won't agree with Messi is in charge of Argentina. Is he much younger?
Well,
Or
Messi is
should
younger.
he simply-
Messi is 2 years younger. Argentina world champions. Argentina
Just
champions of
2
Copa
years
America.
There you are.
Guys,
there you are.
guys,
There you are.
moving
There
on.
you goes. Mark
Messi
has
is
two
young.
standards.
Messi is 2 years.
Two different standards for Messi and
Messi
Ronaldo.
is
But
2
never
years
mind.
younger.
Never
Messi
mind.
is 2 years younger. Argentina champions of Copa America. Champions of the World Cup. Actually, back-to-back champions of Copa America.
Never mind. Listen,
Okay.
what I'm saying is this: is that
And Messi reinvented himself. Messi reinvented
Ronaldo is at an age where it's very easy for a manager to sit him down in a meeting and tell him, look, this is my plan.
Not Martinez.
I am not going to play you 90 minutes of every
Not
game.
Roberto Martinez.
I am going to do this for your own longevity and for the good of you and Portugal.
Not Roberto
I
Martinez.
am going to help you for you to ride the back of these guys and win a
Not
World Cup.
Roberto Martinez, Mark.
At a very old
Roberto
age,
Martinez.
but not by making you the main man all the time.
I think Ronaldo appointed Roberto Martinez as the coach.
No, I don't think he did.
Coach.
I don't think he did.
You're
But,
making it sound like he's too old. Well,
no.
guys,
Me
Let's move
and
on.
Mark will never agree on this one. But anyway, let's go.
Let's move on to Man City Spurs. Let's see what Pep is all about right now. I don't know if this could also end in checkmate or
Yeah,
another
we'll predict
goal
on
winning
it.
thrill,
We'll
yes.
predict on it, pal. But this was just to bring it out to highlight the fact that Spurs are one of the teams that actually have given Pep a bloody nose since he came into
They always
the
have.
English
They
Premier
always
League.
have.
always, yeah?
They've seemed to be able to match Pep punch for punch. There are teams and managers that have beaten Pep in the Premier League, but not by playing as well as them, not by standing them head to toe and passing the same as them and outrunning them and things like that. It has been usually by being cautious, by putting men behind the ball and hitting them with a sucker punch and a counter and all. Spurs come into games against Man City fearless, totally fearless. The other team that do that is Brighton, but Spurs do it even better. And this is a city that has been wobbly, and that makes for good viewing. I didn't think Pep would lose 4 games on the trot. When he lost
in a
3, when we
row.
were here last week,
Yes.
and you asked me, I said Pep was going to win at Brighton. Mark, to his advantage, said they wouldn't win there. Even if he didn't give Brighton the win, he at least
Yeah.
said City wouldn't win, which I give him credit for. But they lost. So that's 4 on the trot. I don't see them losing 5.
In a row,
But
yeah.
unfortunately for Pep, and I didn't think I would ever say this about him at any point in his career, unfortunately for Pep, it's perhaps the wrong fixture for the situation he's in. Because
I think the
Spurs are absolutely going to give them no respect,
The best
and
thing,
they will match them.
I think the
punch
best
for
thing to happen to Man City was the break. They needed it more than any team in the Premier League. And I think that break has done them a world of good. And for the first time in a long time, I would make a large stake on Man City actually beating Spurs. Because they just have to win that game. Kevin De Bruyne is back. Haaland scored a hat-trick in
the Nations League, yeah, for Norway.
In the Nations League. And I think 1 or 2 players are coming back from injury. I think Man City should take care of business. It will not be straightforward, but I mean, the law of averages dictates that there's supposed
That
to
they should
be, there's bound to be a change in their fortunes.
We'll call that in the predictions.
All right,
yeah.
moving on to AC Milan, Juventus.
That's the biggest, on paper, the biggest game in Europe this weekend. When international break is over and we come back into league football.
Okay.
Traditionally, this has been a title decider many times in the Premiership, and in the Serie A rather. But it's not this year, not necessarily, because Napoli are top of the table and Inter are better than everybody else in that league. So AC Milan and Juventus are still on recovery path. Well, Milan have won a title in recent times. Juventus on the mend, but it's going to make for very, very good viewing. I've seen some of the Juve games and I've liked the way they are playing again under Allegri. But I'm an AC Milan fan, and I also fancy our chances. We don't have the big names of the past. It's not the AC Milan that used to have Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, and Frank Rijkaard, or even the one that would have the George Weahs or the Inzagis and the Kakas and all. But the guys who have come, even rejects from the English Premier League, who have actually slotted in there and are playing better than I thought they would. Christian Pulisic for one. And
Fikayo Tomori.
Fikayo Tomori is doing well at the back, but I like Tijani Reinders from the Dutchman, and the rest of the guys. Rafael Leão, we just talked about him for Portugal, and a few of the other guys at AC Milan. Noah Okafor comes off the bench and all. They're doing well. They're playing well in attack, and they're looking good. I think it makes for good viewing. This game in the Italian Serie A. And it's got the potential to be high scoring. Again, for me, it's part of the recent recovery of the Serie A. The things Napoli have done over the last couple of years, the things Atalanta have done over the last couple of years, Inter Milan coming and being dominant there and looking like the part in the Champions League as well, and then AC Milan and Juventus on the mend. It augurs well for the Serie A. It speaks good things about a league which had actually fallen on hard times. And this game would be a good advert for the Serie A this weekend.
Yes,
absolutely. Always a massive game, AC Milan, Juventus, and I like Juve. I watched them. They playing. I think was it the 4-4, which they played with. Inter Milan, potentially one of the games of the season. They scored that many goals, but they also leak